You can tell they're getting punchy.
We're short time, sir.
Yeah, they're short timers, as they say. State Senator Jason Allen, the Republican from Traverse City and northern Michigan in general, and of course State Senator Alan Cropsey from DeWitt, both term limited, both. Well, you'll be, I guess, essentially lame duck in about 13 days, huh?
Well, we are. We both walk with a limp now.
That's right, but we look good, and that's really all that matters.
Are you getting a little bit nostalgic about the final days? I would be.
Well, for me, I've been working on the budget for the last 8 years, and there's not that much nostalgia going on with the budget. It's been tough the last 8 years.
What about you? I know
we've reflected on a lot of the very unique situations because, like, my first bill out of committee, second bill out of committee when I was a freshman in the House, was the Detroit School Rescue, and you know what a turmoil that was, the challenges that were put forth. That was just let's see, a vertical learning curve.
And here we go again. That problem still isn't solved.
Yeah, I was thinking he really solved that problem, didn't he?
Thanks, Al. I really appreciate that. That's what friends are for.
There is some talk now, according to one of the Capitol News services, that there could be a supermajority in the Senate after the election. That I guess the numbers kind of stack up to that possibility. Wouldn't that have been nice?
Well, yeah, and we'll see in a week from today. It'll be the day after the election, and we should have the results.
Would that make a big difference? A supermajority?
I think it helps, assuming Mr. Snyder wins the governorship. I certainly think it helps. I think more importantly will be who actually controls the state house.
And that's anybody's guess from what I can see right now. It could even be a House divided, 55-55.
Yes, it's going to be very tight. But the numbers are looking very good for Mr. Snyder, as Al was talking about.
20 points up.
I served in the State House back when it was 55-55.
Yeah, what's that like?
Well, you had two leaders, a Republican leader and a Democrat leader, who got along personally very well, and that did translate into them getting along very well politically, too. And what we did was one party 1 month would control the committees and the other party would control the floor. And then it'd switch around the next month so that whatever you passed in February, if you were a Republican and it got through the committees in February, you could take it up in March and vice versa.
Huh. Dan Lepp wrote a book about that called Shared Power. Yes. It's on my shelf.
Actually, my wife was chief of staff.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an interesting book because you see a lot of the players involved and how intriguing it was.
Yeah. It was.
You guys, even though you're term limited, you're both here working. You're both, tireless to the end. What's on your schedules today?
I'm out door to door for John Papageorge, which is one of our Senate candidates. So we're heading down to Detroit. Yesterday was in the office working through a variety of checklist issues, and then I was up in Charlevoix early in the morning. And so I listened to you on 12:10 and 11:10 on the way.
Thank you. So even till now, you're going to go knocking on doors for other candidates.
Oh, yeah. I was out yesterday. The last 2 days, I've been out knocking on doors for Tim Wahlberg in Delta Township, and I think the response I've been getting is very positive. Knocking on doors for Tim Wahlberg, and I've been helping Bill Schuette in his race for Attorney General, and I think it's been a very positive response. I'm optimistic that Tim Wahlberg will go to Congress.
How many doors will you knock on in a day?
Well, it really depends. If you're in a rural environment like you are in northern Michigan,
tough to get around.
It's tough to get around, and you're literally driving. But when you're in an urban environment, I'm assuming we'll be like doing Royal Oak or someplace down in those areas. I mean, you could probably crank out several hundred doors in 3 hours.
And it's interesting because last week I was down in Wayne County, western Wayne County, which tends to be very rural. Usually we think of Wayne County, Detroit, and the suburbs.
You're in Canton or
but I was down there in the
Belleville,
Canton area,
places like
and
that.
Had another person with me, and we were having to take the car going from house to house because it was just too far between the houses to walk. And that was Pat Colbeck is the Republican candidate.
What's the worst thing that's happened when you knocked on a door?
Oh, the worst thing is if somebody slams the door in your face. And, but that's very, very rare. It's just amazing on how many people are very are appreciative to say, okay, we appreciate you being here at the door.
It's anti-bullying week. Today is anti-bullying day, as I understand it, and there is some legislation that's been bouncing around in the Capitol. You've been opposed to that legislation.
Yeah, well, it's not that I've been opposed to it. It's just that the solution that they're offering is no solution at all, because the solution that they're offering says schools must need a bullying policy. And I've asked, I said, well, what schools do not have a bullying policy? And nobody has been able to come up with an answer, because every school superintendent I've talked to said, oh, of course we have a bullying policy.
How could you not?
Yeah, and so it's like, why would we pass a law telling schools to have a bullying policy when they already have a bullying policy?
And they would know best how to deal with it at their
absolutely.
level. I mean, they must get advice from somebody.
The problems that you face in the rural areas are very different than the problems that you face in the urban areas.
In what way?
Well, when you take a look at rural Michigan, what the activities, the types of things that they're out doing. I mean, you know, to go to deer camp in northern Michigan is one of the traditions. And so you look at that in November versus what's going on maybe in Detroit. And then there are different mindsets.
It's always hunting season in Detroit. Did he say that out loud? I don't think so.
That wasn't me that said that. I think that was MPS in the morning saying it out loud.
And on a somber note, you're going to a funeral today, Senator
Yes, I
Cropsey.
am. I have one of our servicemen that was killed in Afghanistan. His funeral is today up in Greenville.
And you've done that before.
I have done
both
that
have.
before, and I remember especially going to a funeral in Portland, and it's just a devastating thing. At the same time, you know that your son, our daughter, your child has given their lives for our freedom. And what it does, this is where I really do get fairly, I guess you'd say, nostalgic. In the state Senate, we do read a tribute for our fallen soldiers. And having had 2 boys serve in the military, just getting out this last week, you know, I keep thinking that could be me that somebody's reading about, or one of my children that somebody's reading about. And it makes you realize that our way of life here in the United States, it comes at a terrific cost, but it's worth it too when you take a look at the way other people throughout the rest of the world live.
I will be emceeing tonight the Delta Township Awards, and they're going to have a salute to the military there tonight, too. And I didn't serve, so sometimes I feel a little guilty about it all, you know. But I will say a prayer for the family that you're going to visit today at the funeral there in Greenville, and thank you very much for the time this morning. Both of you, really. Congressman Mike Rogers, by the way, is on the line, the Republican from Byton. He's running for re-election, serves on the Intelligence Committee. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Senators.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Why is
Two of the
Al-Qaeda...
finest senators in the state of Michigan getting ready. It should be inspiring to everybody listening that these folks are still on the job and working hard. And I think defy all of what people think about politicians. These 2 guys they're fantastic human beings working for their state, working for their beliefs.
Thank you.
That should give everybody a little encouragement today, I hope.
Well, Mike, as you know, it's a real privilege to serve people in a governmental office. And that's a trust that both Jason and I know that you take very seriously, is the trust that people put into you when they vote for you on Election Day for the next 2 years or for the next 4 years.
And we're really grateful. I understand you're heading up north coming up in the next weeks.
I absolutely. They apparently are lowering their standards and letting me up north.
Speaking of
I
up
had
north...
to get approval of the city council in Traverse City, apparently, to go north of there.
Well, watch out. There's a real sort of a battle going on at Mackinac Island. Today, I guess, is the proposals for the ferry lines, and so we'll cover that tomorrow morning. But they're asking for presentations today from the Star Line and the Arnold Line and the Shepler Line, so we'll cover that tomorrow morning. But a couple of quick questions, Congressman. One is I've been hearing that the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, may not run for that office again if she's reelected. Have you heard that?
I think that is a October rumor to quell what has been an absolute backlash from average Americans all across the country, including in Democrat seats, about the policies of which she's brought forward. I mean, the health care bill and the cap-and-trade bill and the incredible deficit spending all happen under her leadership. And so I think what you're seeing is a little politics here. I think she has every intention of running for Speaker again at the end of the year.
Why is Al-Qaeda targeting France?
Well, you know, Algeria was a French-occupied area for some time. The Battle of Algiers was a famous movie back in the 60s. And there is Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb, and because of their relationship there, they are always tainted. And they have quite a bit of traffic between Algeria and France. So there are ways to get into France that there aren't in other parts of the European countries. And so because of their support for the Afghanistan conflict, the fact that they have passed a law that you can't have your face covered with your burqas, that makes them a likely target for Al-Qaeda and the extreme Wahhabist Islamic interpretation.
Is there still a French Foreign Legion?
There is a French Foreign Legion, yes. Actually, there is. And they're the best soldiers they have. And I was going to tell a French joke. Maybe I will. You know that in the NATO, they vote with both hands. With both hands, they raise their vote. Oh, come on.
Nice try, sir.
Get off your hands, he says. Thank you very much, Congressman Mike Rogers. He'll be knocking on doors, too, for his reelect in the Brighton and Lansing area. 35 after the hour, it's Michael Patrick Shields back in a flash.